The Rolls-Royce Phantom was the car that relaunched its brand in inimitable style, and it's a super luxury saloon that still commands the road like no other car on earth. Massive in every respect and full of cutting-edge technology, it combines British craftsmanship with BMW engineering know-how. Engineer Charles Stuart Rolls and car dealer Henry Royce joined forces back in 1904 with the aim of creating the very finest automobiles in the world. Film stars, statesmen and dignitaries across the globe testify that they still do. These people care little that the company is no longer British owned, nor do its products now hail from the traditional Pimm's Lane factory in Crewe. Excellence is all that matters, and since the turn of the century, this classic brand has begun afresh in a new quest to achieve it. Its first product of the modern era being this one, launched in 2003, the Phantom Saloon. It's still built here at a state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Goodwood, though with bodywork fabricated and engines provided by BMW. It still blends advanced technology with traditional hand craftsmanship with extraordinary results, and it still represents the world's ultimate automotive status symbol. All this is not in question, but whether that makes it one of the world's great cars is a very different issue, and that's exactly what we're here to find out. When BMW set about designing a new Rolls-Royce, there was a very real danger that the Phantom would end up as nothing more than a super luxurious 7 Series in disguise. But that didn't happen. The German brand producing a new car in every sense of the word and resisting the temptation to use anything from the suspension, the floor plan or the cabin of any of its existing models. What has been transferred over intact is BMW's ultimate driving machine expertise, with the result that this Phantom is in many ways as much a joy to be behind the wheel of as it is to ride in there in the back. That most owners relaxing in the rear with their copy of their FT will never know this is a pity, but it's their loss. For the experience that you get here at the wheel, perched up high and SUV-like, clasping the beautifully crafted thin steering wheel, is a unique one. Power, something the Rolls-Royce of old would simply state was sufficient, is rated at 453 brake horsepower from a 6.75 litre V12 normally aspirated engine so silent that you'd hardly know it was there. Awesome torque of 720 Newton meters means that 2.5 tons of automotive real estate can be shifted from rest to 60 in 5.5 seconds on the way to a top speed of 150 miles an hour. And you're never in any doubt that shifting this much mass at Porsche Boxster speeds is of little consequence to this engine. The power reserve gauge that replaces the usual rev counter hovers at about 90% of power remaining when you're cruising at about 100. It's obviously not a car to be driven sideways on a racetrack, but classic 50-50 BMW weight distribution, accurately responsive steering, and a space frame boasting the rigidity of a Formula One car mean that you can actually throw one of these about with impunity if the situation demands it. Just ask any chauffeur who's been trained in evasive driving in one of these. Of course, on really tight, twisting country roads, its size does tell, but even here it's a surprisingly dynamic and focused drive, lacking the body roll that you'd expect from previous Rolls-Royce models thanks to its advanced air-sprung suspension. But I digress. What's really important is what this car feels like to ride in, and you probably don't need me to tell you that it feels exquisite, the last word in luxury, comfort and refinement. You waft silently over the most seriously potholed roads as though they simply weren't there. And though the ZF automatic gearbox has 6 speeds, whereas perhaps more modern luxury cars would have 7 or 8, the ratios are perfectly spaced, always in the right place at the right time. Nobody could accuse this Rolls-Royce of looking ordinary, and if you like to keep a low profile, then you're better off opting for something more discreet, like a Maybach. The Phantom was designed and modelled in London at a converted bank opposite Hyde Park that used to be Johnny Depp's UK apartment. And the result still sends visual shockwaves through passers-by years after it was first unveiled. Apparently, the design team worked out that a car's height should be twice that of its wheels, and the resulting proportions are enormous. But it works, thanks to a fuss-free profile and a nose that blends classic, traditional Rolls-Royce design cues with more controversial aspects, like the way that the headlamps are integrated. The doors are helped to fasten shut by silent hydraulic motors that seal you from the outside world. It's an oasis of calm in here, with every possible luxury at your disposal. In fact, it's such a glorious place to reside that you'll probably be tempted to move in, something you've got every right to do after deciding to spend over £250,000 on a car rather than that nice riverside apartment. The sumptuous interior is crafted from the finest timber and leather available. The switches for the electric windows and the audio controls are beautifully crafted violin-type affairs, while the chromed air vents are operated by traditional organ stops, as is the information screen here, which doubles as a clock. It's all luxury that's altogether on a different scale. It takes 15 hides that are hand-stitched to create all the various leather services that abound throughout this car. There are 43 different wooden services, each made up of 28 different layers, and everything feels just so touchable that you can't help running your fingers along it to feel the tactile quality. Hinged at the back rather than the front, the rear coach doors allow rear seat passengers to enter and exit gracefully, and can be closed at the press of a button. Once inside, there's a choice of individual chairs separated by a centre console, or this rear lounge seat with curved edges, making it easy to turn and face your fellow passenger. Now, either way, the base of the seat is elevated by 18mm, offering a peerless view of the road ahead, while the seat itself is actually situated just behind the rear C-pillars here for safety and a bit of extra privacy from aspiring paparazzi. Legroom is ample, and you can extend it further by electrically pushing forward the front seats. But if you want more and don't mind paying a £50,000 premium, then there's an extended wheelbase version with an extra 250mm of rear compartment length that enables the provision of things like a partition for privacy, drinks cabinets in the rear doors, and side window curtains. Plus, you've got more space to use the optional monitors that are built into these rear seats so that you can check your stocks and shares on the move. Extended wheelbase customers even get the option of a safe in the recessed compartment of this 460-litre boot. This model really is huge. Indeed, you could fit a new Fiat 500 between its front and rear wheels with room to spare. But then, at this end of the luxury car market, size very definitely matters. Prices start at about £275,000, and you'll need to allow a premium of about £50,000 if you're looking for the EWB extended wheelbase version. Now, their base Phantom figure is about £80,000 more than Rolls-Royce will charge you for their slightly shorter but more powerful Ghost saloon model, while in the Phantom range there are also two other derivatives if money is no object: the Coupe and the drop-head coupe convertible model here. Now, Rolls-Royce will tell you that their cars have no direct rivals, but just for the record, if you're comparing against a standard Phantom saloon, a Maybach 57S will save you about £15,000, while a Bentley Mulsanne will save you about £55,000. Both of those are very good cars, but neither of them is a Rolls-Royce. Now, whether you go for a standard or extended wheelbase Phantom, it will come appropriately specified to your needs. Now, I haven't got time to go into everything here, but highlights include the front and rear parking sensors that you'll definitely need for getting in and out of tight spaces. Then you've got power opening doors, front and rear, a power closing boot lid, multi-zone climate control, a leather trimmed headlining with wool and cashmere accent panels, and wood veneered picnic trays built into the back, plus electric seats front and rear with a driver memory function. Now, you've even got brollies that are built into the rear doors that are Teflon coated to avoid them rotting if you put them away wet. Also standard are Bluetooth compatibility, a 15-speaker recording industry standard surround sound stereo system, sat-nav, voice command functionality, Rolls-Royce Assist emergency telematics, and a multi-function command system that's similar to BMW's iDrive but less complicated to use. But that's just the start for most customers, with typical buyers so particular that no two Phantoms are ever likely to leave the factory with exactly the same specification. Well, as the saying goes, if you have to ask, then you really can't afford it. Unlike Maybach, Rolls-Royce sees no need to offer any kind of buyback scheme, which probably tells you as much about Maybach residuals as you need to know. Still, with depreciation of around 50% over 3 years, combined cycle fuel consumption of 18 miles to the gallon, top of the shop Group 20 insurance, and CO2 figures of, well, about 377 grams per kilometre, this obviously won't be an inexpensive car to run. But then most potential owners probably won't even look at any of those figures. They may, though, have to consider the implications of fitting something nearly 6 metres long and 2 metres wide inside the average garage. So perhaps there'll be a need also to allow for a few house alterations too. So, is this a glorious irrelevance or the world's finest motor car? Or maybe, just maybe, a bit of both? It's certainly hard to think of another means of transport that offers luxury, style and elegance on this level. In one of these, a journey isn't just something you undertake merely to get to somewhere you'd rather be. Getting there becomes part of the pleasure. The way the designers of this car have tapped into such a rich vein of tradition and history is as impressive as the care taken in its construction. It takes 460 hours to hand build one of these before the 5 layers of paint and clear lacquer are then hand polished for 5 hours. The result is a cut above the rest, a car that Charles Rolls and Henry Royce would be proud of.